If you are sick, maybe physically ill, emotionally depressed, have you ever wondered that maybe it's unforgiveness or maybe it's something that's manifesting itself into a physical way? My next author, her name is Cathrine Silver, and she's written a book called Riding the Light Beam. Cathrine, first of all, come on in. I'm glad that you're here.
Hi, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Your book is so amazing. When we talk about the message that's in your book, you say it's about finding the hero inside. And that is a big cover of what we're going to try to put into a little nutshell. Can you talk about that?
Well, it's sort of like you can't lead people through the fire unless you've walked through the fire yourself. And as a holistic health counselor, it's my story, and I wanted people to know that I had walked through the fire, that I had suffered losses, that I had experienced what we call life. And sometimes our expectations of what life is supposed to be are actually very different from the reality that presents itself in front of us. And so we have to rewrite that story from feeling like maybe we're a victim to a victor. And we all have this within the inside of us. And so we have to nurture it and give ourselves permission sometimes to bring that to the light.
You talk about being into holistics. Before we dive deep into this, what does that exactly mean? What does a holistic view of medicine or health look like?
Holistic, in my definition, I think it's pretty much universal, is our whole body. And what the allopathic Western medicine model sort of negates the mental, emotional part of us, as well as the spiritual part of us. But for us to come together and be whole, complete beings, we have to consider not only the physical side, which may be sending us messages, signs, symbols, and metaphors, as well as our, I'm going to say, mental, emotional wounds, traumas, the things we've been through, and also very much a spiritual component. Because oftentimes the ego, easing God out, wants to be in control. But we have to surrender that control and follow what I would say the guidance of the universe. And when we do that, things begin to fall into place.
In your book, Riding the Light Beam, you talk about as a holistic counselor, you see that unresolved conflicts and unforgiveness manifest itself in several ways, physically, emotionally, and spiritually for us. It's important that we acknowledge what's happening inside of us, right?
Oh, yeah. And you know, the first step comes from awareness. Do I have the awareness that something that happened to me when I was 9, 10, 11 years old still has energy on it? And I haven't been able, and everything in my life reflects this, I'm going to say subconscious tape that runs my life because of my wound when I was 8. And it could be a divorce from parents. You could not accept, like, on some level, it's my fault. You could feel the loss, abandonment, betrayal of what we think in our own minds that a childhood should look like. There's all sorts of different reasons, and we hold on to this, and it becomes part of our identity. And so really owning that hero is finding our magnificence on the inside. And when we trust life and realize that we have sort of co-created this process, then we can turn that story into one of empowerment.
What do you mean by the essence of our light is the essence of God?
Well, we don't understand, but we carry that spark of divinity within inside us. They've actually demonstrated chromosome 2 was fused about 100,000 years ago. If you want to take it to full weird, we'll say, the Pleiadians came here and gave us the divine spark. There is much life in the universe, but not all life carries the spark of God within. And we do, but we come here blindfolded. We are the planet of free choice, and part of that free choice is discovering who we really are. And so I say that is because when we discover our light, then nothing can really hurt us. We trust, we are able to go with the flow, the synchronicities come in, we are able to heal ourselves by realizing that the picture is bigger, and maybe these were tests that were set up for ourselves to come. or lessons. With great power comes great responsibility. If we can't get over the low hurdles, we're not going to get over the big hurdles.
Oh, that's powerful. We could just sit on that for a while, but we're talking about the light. We can't shine our light if we have a ton of stress and emotional trauma. As a matter of fact, you shared a stat with me that 85% of all disease is caused by stress.
Well,
That's
even CDC record. Yeah, that was on the CDC website. So on some level, they acknowledge that. But what does that stress look like? And so, they may not say it's unresolved emotional conflicts and traumas and things that have happened or things that we carry from one life to another to resolve.
right.
And if you ask the bigger question, how does, I'm going to say, our higher self or our soul give our physical 3D self the idea that we actually have this unresolved conflict?
It's shouting, hey, I need some attention. Something's wrong here.
Right. And if we ignore the mental, emotional, then I always say the cosmic 2x4 gets bigger. And then we create something physical that we can't ignore.
Cathrine, that is so true. How many times do you hear about maybe a parent losing a child and then just within a short amount of time, they're diagnosed with cancer? I mean, there's such a clear connection between emotions and physical.
And if you look at it that way, it's the body's project and purpose. So we think this cancer has come out of nowhere, but the body in its divine wisdom says, let me produce milk for another child, or let me produce another child with testicular cancer, or so it's all related and all connected, but it's how we view the world and how we can interpret it. So if we think God is a punishing God, we think, oh, I've done something wrong and I'm being punished. Or if you can see it in another enlightened way, a more spiritual way that says, okay, what is the silver lining and what is the gift? What am I supposed to do? This is a sacred contract between me and my son, my husband, my daughter, and what am I supposed to do? And I always go back to the example of the woman whose daughter was killed by a drunk driver and started the organization MAD. She changed the world.
I think that's an amazing example.
Right? We always have a choice. And how are we going to rewrite it? Even divorce. I mean, my mother was still mad at my father 30, 40 years after the divorce and saying judgment day was coming and he was going to burn in hell. And my marriage also ended after a lengthy period. And I said, all right, I am here to do something. And I couldn't do it being married to my husband, and it fell apart how it falls apart. And so I took that after my period of, I'm going to say, recovering and deciding, okay, what am I going to do? This just called to me. It was sort of a natural evolution of who I was. And so I feel like I am here to share that message and to be, I'm going to say, a way shower and a leader, a mentor for people, because if one person can do it, anybody can do it.
Riding the light beam. Cathrine Silver, thank you so much for your wisdom. And we just encourage you, purchase the book, give Cathrine a rating in it. It helps so much. Thank you, Cathrine.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. Bye-bye now.